Saint Kateri Tekakwitha, called Lily of the Mohawks, by Dr. Jackie Taylor Basker for the Tao community. She was known as the patron of environmentalism and Native Americans. She always asked, "Who can tell me what is most pleasing to God, that I may do it?" Saint Kateri Tekakwitha was born in 1656 in the Mohawk village in upstate New York. Her father was a Mohawk chieftain. Her mother was an Algonquin Catholic convert, initially a captive of the Mohawks, who eventually married Kateri's father. Tekakwitha is the name given to her by the Mohawk people. It translates to "she who bumps into things." She is the first Native American to be declared a saint. She was baptized by the Jesuits. She had contracted smallpox in an epidemic, and many of her family died, and her face was scarred. She resisted, though, the pressure to get married. In the spring of 1674, at the age of 18, she met the Jesuit priest Jacques de Lambertville, who was visiting her village. Most of the women were out harvesting corn, but Tekakwitha had injured her foot and was in the cabin. In the presence of all others, she told her story and her desire to become a Christian. After this, she started studying the catechism with him. She converted to Catholicism at age 19, when she was named Kateri and baptized in honor of Catherine of Siena. However, she was persecuted for her faith. After she was baptized, she remained in Caughnawaga for another 6 months, but some Mohawks opposed her conversion and accused her of sorcery. Father Lambertville suggested that she go to the Jesuit mission of Kanawake, located south of Montreal. There were other native converts gathered there. Catherine joined them in 1677. She was totally dedicated to Christ. She said, "I have deliberated long enough. For a long time, my decision on what I will do has been made. I have consecrated myself entirely to Jesus, Son of Mary. I have chosen him for husband, and he alone will take me for wife." She forms an order of devout women. Kateri was said to have put thorns on her sleeping mat and to have lain on them while praying for the conversion and forgiveness of her kinsmen. Piercing the body to draw blood was a traditional practice of the Mohawk and other Iroquois nations. She lived as Katanakwe the remaining 2 years of her life. She learned more about Christianity under her mentor Anastasia, who taught her about the practice of repenting for one's sins. When the women learned of religious sisters, they wanted to form their own convent and created an informal association of devout women. She becomes a model Christian. The Jesuit Chauchetier was very impressed by her, as he had not expected a native to be so pious, and believed that Catherine was a saint. Jesuits generally thought that the natives needed Christian guidance to be set on the right path, but he acknowledged that close contact with and deeper knowledge of the natives in Kanawake changed some of his notions about the people and about differences among human cultures. In his biography of Kateri, he stressed her charity, industry, purity, and fortitude. In contrast, Cholneck stressed her virginity, perhaps to counter white stereotypes at the time, characterizing Indian women as promiscuous. At her death, she said, "Jesus, Mary, I love you." In Holy Week 1680, friends noted that Kateri's health was failing. When people knew she had but a few hours left, villagers gathered together, accompanied by the priest Chokochie and Cholneck, who gave her the last rites. She died on Holy Wednesday, April 17th, 1680, at the age of 23 or 24, in the arms of her friend Marie-Thérèse. Chokochie recalls her final words were, "Jesus, Mary, I love you." After her death, people noticed a physical change. Cholneck reported, "This face, so marred and swarthy with smallpox scars, suddenly changed about a quarter of an hour after her death, and became in a moment so beautiful and so white that I observed it immediately. Her smallpox scars were said to disappear." There were miracles after her death. She appeared to 3 people: her mentor Anastasia, her friend Marie-Thérèse, and Charles-Chutier. Anastasia said that while crying on her bed, she looked up to see Catherine, kneeling, holding a wooden cross that shone like the sun. Marie-Thérèse reported that she was awakened at night by a knocking on her wall. A voice asked if I were awake. "I've come to say goodbye. I'm on my way to heaven," it said. Marie-Thérèse went outside but saw no one. Then she heard a voice murmur, "Adieu, adieu. Go tell the Father I'm going to heaven." Meanwhile, Father Chokochie saw her at her grave. He said she appeared in Baroque splendor. He gazed upon her for 2 hours, and her face lifted towards heaven as though she were in ecstasy. There are many healings associated with St. Kateri. Joseph Kellogg was a Protestant child captured by the natives in the 18th century and eventually returned to his home. But 12 months later, he caught smallpox. The Jesuits helped treat him, but he was not recovering. They had relics from Tekakwitha's grave, but they did not want to use them on a non-Catholic who might not believe in them. One Jesuit told Kellogg that if he became a Catholic, they would come to him. Joseph did so. The Jesuit gave him a piece of decayed wood from Kateri's coffin, which is said to have made him heal. The historian Alan Green takes this account to mean that Tekakwitha was known in the 18th century New France, and she was already perceived to have healing abilities. Her fame spreads. Other miracles were attributed to Kateri. Father Jaime recovered his hearing, and a nun in Montreal was healed by using items formerly belonging to Catherine. Such incidents were evidence that Catherine was possibly a saint. Following the death of a person, sainthood is symbolized by events that show the rejection of death. It is also represented by a duality of pain and elimination of another's pain, shown by her reputed miracles in New France. Charles-Chutier told settlers in La France to pray to Catherine for intercession for illnesses. Due to the Jesuits' superior system of publicizing materials, his words and Catherine's fame were said to reach Jesuits in China and their converts. The Vatican is convinced. On December 19, 2011, Pope Benedict XVI approved the second miracle needed for Kateri's canonization. The authorized miracle dates from 2006, when a young boy in Washington State survived a severe flesh-eating bacterium. Doctors have been unable to stop the progress of the disease by surgery and advised the parents he was likely to die. The boy was given the last rites. As the boy was a Native American Lumi Indian, his parents said they prayed to Tekakwitha for help and asked their family and friends to also pray, with a large extended network contacted through their son's classmates. Sister Kateri Michael was led to the boy's bedside and placed a relic of Tekakwitha, a bone fragment, against his body, and prayed together with his parents. The next day, his infection stopped its progression, and he was miraculously healed. Saint Kateri is known as the patron saint of ecology. She was a child of nature. Her sainthood will raise the minds and hearts of those who love nature and work in ecology, the Bishop of New York said. Kateri is popularly known as the patroness of settled North America and the First Nations peoples, integral ecology, and the environment. Saint Kateri and the indigenous peoples had a extensive knowledge of the natural world, acquired over thousands of years with direct contact with it. Saint Kateri is an eyewitness of the land and nature before it would be drastically altered and damaged. Here's a Mohawk prayer to the earth. Cover my earth mother 4 times with many flowers. Let the heavens be covered with banked up clouds. Let the earth be covered with fog. Cover the earth with rains. Great waters, rains, cover the earth. Lightning, cover the earth. Let thunder be heard over the earth. Let thunder be heard. A meditation for us. Who can tell me what is most pleasing to God that I may do it? This is the question Saint Kateri asked to make her decisions. Do we ask this question to determine what to do in our lives? Do we ask other wise spiritual people, or do we just decide on our own? Do we have a trusted spiritual advisor? Are we stubborn to do the right thing? Sister Kateri was pressured by her peers to do things that she felt violated her conscience. Are we able to resist peer pressure in our lives? Are we able to do the right thing, no matter what people think or say about us? Kateri was bullied, harassed, but she stayed strong. She was bullied and even called a sorcerer by her community after her baptism. But she stayed strong in her faith, no matter what the danger. She never kept her faith a secret or denied it even when threatened. Saint Kateri stayed joyful and thankful to God despite the ugly and painful pockmarks on her faith as a result of smallpox that was an embarrassment for her in her community. Do we still praise and thank God in love despite physical pain, suffering, and health situations that are embarrassing for us when we have to admit our vulnerability and perhaps submit to others for care, losing our independence and strength? Can we stay joyful despite painful disfigurement and weakness? Is God our priority? We may claim to be spiritual, but do we really place God as the priority in our lives? Or is prayer and God at the end of our list of things to do in our busy days, sometimes skipped due to time pressure and other responsibilities? Can we restructure our lives to focus on God? What reverence do we pay to the earth? How do we respect and care for the earth? What things can we do to improve our nurturing of the earth? Do we spend time allowing the earth to nurture us? How can we improve our relationship with Mother Earth, develop more sensitivity and consciousness of nature and the need to conserve and preserve? Thank you for praying with me.